Kamala Harris is unraveling. Yes, the honeymoon period is over, and with every new unscripted interview, the world is seeing more of the real Kamala Harris. But fresh polls are indicating voters don't like it. Sky News All Stars Rita Panahi, Douglas Murray and Liz Storer take a deep dive into Kamala Harris's latest word salads and examine their impact on her fresh polling numbers. There's no denying that Kamala Harris is being given a free run by the media during this election campaign. But despite the biased debate moderators and softball interview questions, Kamala Harris still manages to mumble and stumble through her answers, reveals Sky News All-Star Rita Panahi.
Here are Kamala's top 3 moments. This is exciting. The VP has learned a new word. Here she repeats that word 3 times in 13 seconds. See if you can guess what it is.
Looking holistically at the connection between that and housing, and looking holistically at the incentives we in the federal government can create for local and state governments to actually engage in planning in a holistic manner.
Kamala Harris then struggled her way through a simple question about her economic policy.
Here, Kamala attempts to answer a simple question about her economic policies. Does not go well.
For those who say these policies aren't for me, what do you say to them?
Well, if you are hardworking, if you have the dreams and the ambitions and the aspirations of what I believe you do, you're in my plan. You know, I have to tell you, I really love and am so energized by what I know to be the spirit and character of the American people. We have ambition, we have aspirations, we have dreams.
Yes, she loves empty platitudes, and the vacuousness did not end there.
And arguably her worst answer of that train wreck MSNBC interview was this whopper of a lie.
Polling shows that most likely voters still think Donald Trump is better to handle the economy. Why do you think that is?
Well, here's what I know in terms of the facts. Donald Trump left us with the worst economy since the Great Depression when you look at, for example, the employment numbers.
It was during COVID, and employment was so high because we shut down the government, we shut down the country.
Even before the pandemic, he lost manufacturing jobs by most people's estimates, at least 200,000.
Now that is an absolute lie. One so big that even CNN has called it out. Indeed, Trump had added hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs before COVID. He'd not lost them. From the beginning of his presidency in January 2017 through February 2020, just before the pandemic crash, 414,000 new manufacturing jobs were created.
Sky News All-Star Kosha Gada agrees, mocking Kamala Harris's performance.
Let's bring in Sky News contributor Kosha Gada. Kosha, this interview was not good, and that's putting it mildly. And it was with an interviewer who did everything in her power to help Harris.
It was a holistic illustration. I think that was the word there, a holistic illustration of word salad and not saying anything, and a very friendly interviewer letting all sorts of misstatements or lies, as you put it, stand. But it's just, I think it's giving us a glimpse into, with 40 days left to go, what we're going to see. Very sparse media interviews, and when they occur, they're going to look like this, with just platitudes and skating through with high-level statements, falsehoods, with friendly media, and that's just what it's going to be.
And Sky News All-Star Douglas Murray doubled down on this, saying this interview is yet another example of why Kamala Harris hides away from unscripted live interviews.
Well, we just got a very good example, demonstration of why it is that Kamala Harris doesn't put herself in front of the media. She has put herself in front of the media, like Joe Biden, less than I think anyone who has ever been running for the most senior office in the world. And you just saw there why her team are keeping her from having to answer any questions. There's a glitch the moment that she has to think about a subject which she clearly hasn't thought about very much. Kamala Harris has never in the past particularly got into economics and borrowing and inflation and budget deficits and all of that. And you can see she just had this sort of glitch, and then she says, well, I'll just keep doing the thing I just said. But there's no conviction there, and by the way, there's not very much sense to it.
And Sky News All-Star Liz Storer hilariously mocked Kamala Harris's non-answer about tax policy.
You mentioned housing before, giving that extra money for a first home. If you can't raise corporate taxes, or if GOP takes control of the Senate, where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow?
Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes, and we're going to have to make sure that the biggest corporations and billionaires pay their fair share. That's just it.
Lady, if all the polls are correct, you're looking at a pretty divided government, even if you do make it to the White House. The question is, what are you going to do if you don't have the support to raise said taxes? Oh, we're just going to have to do it, though. We're just going to have to do it.
Even the look on her face when she was asked that was
she was terrified.
She was terrified.
It's like, she was like, oh my God, that's never occurred to me before. What do you mean? You mean? So it's almost like she was.
And then when she's saying, but we're just going to have to do it, it almost gives her time to remember her pre-programmed lines, because then she gets on to everyone's got to pay their fair share, and her face brightens up because now she's back on familiar territory, and she just repeats that ad nauseum for about the next 60 seconds, hoping that the next question will come.
Interestingly, the MSNBC journalist who conducted the interview, Stephanie Rule, just recently defended Kamala Harris, arguing voters should blindly support her.
Prior to doing this interview with Kamala, Rule had been very much defending her a week prior, saying even if Kamala wouldn't budge in saying that Hamas should still have a role in the leadership in Gaza going forward, you're not going to vote for Trump, are you?
It's not too much to ask Kamala, say, are you for a Palestinian state if Hamas is going to run that state?
Okay.
Yes or no?
And let's say you don't like her answer. Are you going to vote for Donald Trump?
No, I'm not. I just said I'm not going to vote for her.
Kamala Harris is not running for perfect. She's running against Trump. We have two choices.
Incredible. Even if she says that a terrorist group should still rule and reign in Gaza, I mean, you're not going to vote for Trump, are you?
Let's just call off the election. No one's going to vote for Trump. So, why even have an election? Why
even have an interview and ask questions? What's the point?
Why ask her anything? Because they're not going to know.
Kamala's performance was so bad that even Stephanie Rule changed her tune after the interview.
After this absolute bomb of an interview, even Stephanie Rule changed her tune, saying, yeah, Kamala couldn't even answer how she was going to do these tax raises if she didn't have the support of the houses.
She doesn't answer the question around if the GOP is controlling the Senate, if she can't raise corporate taxes, where is she going to get the money from? To expand the child tax credit and do all the things she wants to do. And she says, we just have to do it.
Changed her tune real fast, didn't she? So prior to the interview, she's just saying, look, no matter what she says, basically, including terrorists just still having control of that land, that's fine, anything but a vote for Trump. After the interview, she's like, she couldn't even answer this basic question, and admits it to the nation live on MSNBC. It's another one of those examples where these networks that endlessly shill for daily tongue baths for the Democrats actually end up with egg all over their face because they realise the person that we're trying to champion is not popular or intelligent.
And to add to Kamala Harris's week from hell, she presented up another word salad that is being mocked by commentators.
Now let's go to the US, Mark. I've got to get your thoughts on this because we do like to sort of challenge ourselves every now and then with some words of wisdom from Kamala Harris because I think the insights are worth sharing with everybody as often as we can. Here's the latest.
Let it always inspire us. Let it always be the source of our optimism, which is that spirit that is so uniquely American. And let that then inspire us by helping us to be inspired to solve the problems.
I'm inspired to be inspired, and I'm finding it quite inspiring. Is that all vomit with no retch?
Yeah, it's similar. It is. It's all retch, no vomit as well. You know, she doesn't know what she's doing. She's just you can tell when she's gone off script actually, because you could normally she's not looking at the teleprompters left and right. She's looking around, searching for any other word that came from the focus group.
She was searching for inspiration.
The Obama focus group that she sat in. Yeah, she's searching for inspiration or dreams or an ambition or America or something. Unburdened, whatever it might be. Yeah.
But after a dream run at the start of her campaign, cracks are beginning to show, and these bizarre interviews aren't helping Harris's polling numbers, reveals Sky News All-Star Megyn Kelly.
It's good news for Trump. It definitely shows that there's more momentum on the GOP side, that whatever balance she got from being the subbed-in candidate and then that fawning fake DNC that we all watched, and from the debate has been erased or muted because it's not being reflected in these polls. And you know, Trump now he's up 4, I think, in he's up 4 or 5 in Arizona. He is up 4 or 5 in Georgia. It's tight in North Carolina, and this gubernatorial candidate who's currently the lieutenant governor, who's kind of a hot mess, falling apart, is not going to help him. But I just have a tough time believing that North Carolina, which in its roots is red, is going to vote for Kamala Harris because of this guy, Mark Robinson, and his implosion at the gubernatorial level. I don't think he's going to win governor. But anyway, it's not great. But if you just look at sort of where the polls have gone now versus where they were in August, it's good news for Trump almost across the board. And nationally, they're showing Tide. Like you say, Tide is huge for Trump. If you look back at the 2020, of course, all the pollsters got Trump wrong in 2016 by a lot. And then in 2020, they tried to adjust their numbers to try to learn from their mistake that they had been underestimating the Trump vote. And they still got Trump wrong. They underestimated him again. We went back and looked at the Real Clear Politics numbers just for Pennsylvania in 2020. And out of 10 major pollsters, 2 overestimated in favor of Trump, Trafalgar, and I think Insider Advantage. And 8 seriously overestimated for the Dems, including by like 8.5 percentage points. So they did not figure it out by 20, how to correct for undercounting Trump voters. And what reason do we have to believe that they figured it out by now? None. So anything close to a tie is very good news for Trump. If I could pick who I'd rather be right now, 100% I'd pick Trump.